The first chapter, Historiography, Development in the West. Development in the West refers to the western part of your world, which is Europe. In Europe, there were many notable scholars, and they showed us the guidelines and rules that how history should be written. So we are going to study about that in your first chapter. I'm your educator Saurav. Stay tuned. What is historiography? Historiography is writing a history with a narrative. For example, a story which is based on facts. So this is your historiography. In your exams, you have to write this definition of historiography, that is, the writing of critical historical narrative is known as historiography. Historical narrative means writing a story which is critically studied and examined and has some scientific basis, that is historiography. Second point is the historian cannot include every past event in his narrative. It is absolutely right. If you are writing a history about a king, then you cannot write everything about the king, whatever things happen in his day-to-day life. You can write about his battles, wars he fought, and the welfare he did for the state. So this important things you have to write in history. Then third point is inclusion and interpretation of historical events by the historian depends on conceptual framework. Absolutely. Whatever you want to include in your history book and the way you interpret it, it depends on the conceptual framework of the historian. यानी उसका जो दृष्टिकोण है किस हिसाब से वो हिस्ट्री लिखेगा, दैट इज इम्पॉर्टेंट. एंशिएंट कम्युनिटीज ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड यूज्ड वेरियस मीन्स. In ancient communities, there were no pens and papers, but still they wrote histories, and that histories were written on cave paintings. Over here you can see a picture which shows the cave painting. In Maharashtra you can see cave paintings in Ajanta. Then there is storytelling. Over here a old woman is telling stories to her grandchildren, and that grandchildren will tell the stories to next generation. So this way oral traditions have been followed. And the last one is singing songs and ballads. Singing songs is like singing songs for gods, and they are been translated to different languages and still they are sung by many people. And ballads is kind of a poem which has been written in the past. So these are the means of historical documents which we find written by ancient communities. Now this is the time of modern and how modern historiography is written, which is very important for us. So there are four main characteristics you need to follow to write the modern historiography. First one is this method should be based on scientific principles. Absolutely right. You cannot write a story based on fiction. So whatever history you are writing, that should have scientific principles and the facts should be scientifically proven. And that first it begins with formation of questions, the WH questions, that how it is made, when it was made, where do you found it, and all these things should be formulated into a question, and then you should find the answers to it by scientific principles. Second one is these questions are anthropocentric. What is anthropocentric? So this is an environment, and environment provides us values such as oxygen. It provides us wood, petrol, diesel, and many other things. So these values are provided to humans. So what is the role of human? Human protects the environment. Why does human protects the environment? Because it benefits humans. So whatever human is benefited, he will protect that thing, and that thing is called as anthropocentrism. So this question is anthropocentric, means while writing history you should see that whatever things have been made in the past, are they beneficial for the humans and are the humans protecting that thing. So this is important point. Then third one is whatever questions you have formulated, it should be provided or supported by reliable evidences. If you don't get evidence, then you cannot consider it as fact. So if you are watching a CID, what does Daya do? Daya finds the evidences, and through that evidences the criminal is prosecuted. So similarly, while writing history, you need to find reliable evidences. History presents a graph of mankind's journey. You can see that mankind has changed and evolved from ancient times to modern ones. So this changes has to be shown in your history book. Till the 18th century, Europe had achieved remarkable progress in philosophy and science. See, the science progress was eventually done in Europe, and many industrial revolutions and innovations like trains and many other telegraph, telephone, this was been done in Europe. So this started in 18th century. So scholars of Europe thought that while studying the social and historical truth, we should apply scientific method. Now, as the world was progressing, they thought that we should use scientific method to prove the things. In 1737, there was the Göttingen University, which was founded in Germany. This is the first university which has independent department of history for studies. That was a good thing, which eventually studied history with scientific methods. Now we will study about the notable scholars. Your first notable scholar is Rene Descartes. See his picture, and he has written a book named Discourse on the Method. Rene Descartes insisted on verifying the reliability of historical documents. See, whatever historical documents you get, you have to verify its reliability, that where did it come from and is it really a fact or it is a fiction. That you have to study by critically examining them, means you have to examine it in deep. Then in his book Discourse on the Method, he has given us some research, that research should be based on the scientific method. Without this you cannot write a history. He said that never to accept anything for true. कोई भी चीज़ सच्ची मत मानो जब तक सारे आपके doubts clear नहीं होते हैं. This has been told us by Rene Descartes, that you should not accept anything until all the grounds of doubts are cleared. Then we will study about the Voltaire, who was also a notable scholar. He said that along with the objective truth and chronology of historical events, या कोई भी चीज़ जो सच है और उसको क्रोनोलॉजिकली में अरेंज किया है, उसके साथ आप ये भी चीज़ देखिए कि सोशल ट्रेडिशंस कैसे है, वहाँ के लोग जो है वो कैसी पोशाक पहनते थे, हाउ दे यूज टू लिव, व्हाट फूड दे यूज टू ईट एंड व्हाट ट्रेड दे यूज टू डू. सो यू हैव टू ऑल्सो राइट अबाउट दैट इन योर हिस्ट्री. Trade, you know what trade they used to do. Then economy, what kind of coins they used to use, how they used to trade with another country by using barter system or by using the coins or money or something else that you need to study, and then you have to find it. Then what kind of agriculture they did was the first point discussed by the Voltaire. One point Voltaire said was that you should understand all the aspects of human life. Human life is based on the mental state, the physical state, emotional state and spiritual state. So what kind of a mental state he is in, what kind of a physical state he is in, the kind of emotions humans have and the spiritual belongingness the human have should be referred while writing a history. Then Voltaire is said to be the founder of modern historiography. Now George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, he insisted that historical reality should be presented in a logical manner. You cannot write it as a fiction or a story. The thing should be based on logic. To him, the timeline of historical events was indicative of progress. The timeline is shown over here, where a chimpanzee is made into a human. So this is the timeline where man was an animal and now he is a human being. So that transitions should be shown in a timeline focusing on all the aspects of human life. He also thought that presentation of history is bound to change over time as new evidence could come forth. He said that as the time will progress, changes will be made, and that changes in the writing of history shall be provided by new evidences. So this is an important point George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel discussed. Then he has written books, that is Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences, and Reason in History is also well known. Then he also said that there are two direct opposites, that is a bad thing and a good thing, or true or false. So human mind cannot understand a thing unless and until he knows that true and false thing or good and bad thing about something. Now if you take an example of a mobile game which is PUBG, so you know that you can play the game for 2 hours or 3 hours, so that will be good for you. But if you play it for 10 hours, then that will be a bad thing for you. So human mind knows what is good for him and what is bad for him. In order to understand the true nature of one thing, किसी भी चीज़ का अगर आपको सच जानना हो तो आपको उसके दो पहलू पता होने चाहिए. One is true and false, similarly good and bad. So this method of analysis, which is based on opposites, is known as dialectics. That is also important, and you have to write this answer in your board exams.